preparing a generic form dynamic slideshow with multimedia in it so that I can try to distill into one event a summation of what it is that I'm working on and what interests me, which is, of course, the trifecta of cosmogenesis, archaeocosmology, making its way through corrected history to the status quo, and then understanding the Sabbatean invisible hand to our holonomic dream spell, so to speak, and then understanding how to breach that and activate what I've loosely called the mechanics of ascension, which sounds a bit trite, frankly. I should stop using that. But it is about the mechanics of ascension in real terms, activating dynamic consciousness in action, and activating plasma, and boldly going forth and, speaking truth, not just to power, but to the false light. And that's my real thing, is continuously exploring that relationship between the diminished self, the one that's born into a kind of hologram, and how does that creature actualize and emancipate without becoming a Benedictine monk, but how can one be in the cut and thrust of life and steer plasma and cultivate enlightenment, so to speak, and then where that journey takes us into steering reality. So that's the alpha omega, and the summation of that in a presentation is what I'm working on. So I will try to answer the question. In California at the Conscious Life Expo, I don't think I have much longer than an hour and a half or two, but I will try to condense an inordinate amount of spectrum of focus into that. I want to see if it's possible to create a full quantum holonomic conversation in 90 minutes that takes us through that full journey, and leaves us on a actualized frequency. That would be my hope. But at the same time, I have to treat some of the talking workshops and lecturing that I'm doing this year. To some extent, I have to also use it as a delivery mechanism for the technology advances that we're making, which are phenomenal. Some of it is mundane, just dealing with how we straighten out our fucked up high street and products, clean up our basic mundane existence. But other technology solutions that we've got are to do with prosthetics, and when you bring in Professor Florian's universal genome algorithm and the supercomputation. So we're working right now on building our own supercomputer. They tell me it's illegal. Fuck them, whoever they are. How the hell do you make it illegal for people to build a supercomputer? I'd love to challenge a government or a multitude of them in a courtroom, any courtroom on that. But just that alone, the universal genome, to those who've been paying attention, that changes everything. That changes the interface between human beings and government, between human beings and authority, between human beings and bureaucracy. It changes everything. If we can now have an algorithm which is using artificial intelligence in the right way, in the appropriate way for supercomputation, to be able to process millions to the power of millions of units of information in a nanosecond. Now we're at a point where we can communicate directly with the Akashic record. So although we can do it now, and I've been in the laboratory or in the study in Professor Florian's study, I've been with him with the computers, but they're not supercomputers, so the processing takes a long time. But we're able anyway to put a question to God, to the Akashic, to the universal field, to the universal mind. And although the processing power takes a long time, and then we get the answer back in universal syntax, and it's the perfect answer because it's the mind of God that is communicating through universal feedback. When you've got AI, supercomputation, and processing coupled with that universal genome, we will be able to eradicate corruption instantaneously, eradicate criminality, because we will be able to, everything will be revealed in the appropriate way. So in terms, you talk about, you know, transparency and accountability and all that crap that people talk about with governments and with, you know, corporations, what have you. Well, this algorithm ensures and enforces that. So I'm just saying that how does anyone cram this kind of information? I've just read a dozen of the technologies that we've got right now, alongside the life pod technologies, which we're advancing, and the free energy systems. This inordinate amount of breakthrough engineering and nano technological innovation and algorithms. How do we break this down into an hour and a half of a lecture? What do you tell me? I mean, I would love to have the advice from anyone. So I'm kind of the last few days just scratching my head and trying my best to navigate and break down what it is that I know, or what I've learned, coupled a little bit with my story, because I'm very, very tired. I'm very tired of being not attacked, but being subject to this kind of crazy reviewing of people. And you know, I read very hurtful things. My family get hit with very hurtful things, and people are thinking that I'm some you know, crown agent or Illuminati scion, or heavily financed by the fucking, you know, Illuminati and all of that crap. I've read all the stories and I've seen how evil they get. So I'm just a guy, a kind of shock poet who's on a journey of discovery, and I have this weird tendency to feel the need to share everything that I learn, even the mistakes, you know. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is compile a bit of my story in to these presentations so that I can contextualize for people. So, you know, when I'm out there playing at energy and technology innovation, well, what are my credentials? Well, my credentials are pretty high. If you figure that, you know, 11 years ago, I held the Office of Director General in the United Nations Intergovernmental Arena in breakthrough innovation and technology and renewable energy and solutions. I was the key man, and I never took a dime from the United Nations because I always fucking hated them. But I hacked, in that sense, hacked in and accepted the invitation, or provided they did not pay me. And I never took a salary, not a dime. Funded everything myself and contained all my own intellectual property. But the point is that I did it in order to then work at a governmental level and be able to sit down with ministers of energy and technology and so on. And it took me 2 years to see that the game was locked and loaded and it was owned. David Martin was with me, and many of you know and love Dr. David Martin. You know, he's a fantastic element of the truther community. And as long ago as that, 2008, 2009, it's important in a sense that people understand that, you know, I have credentials when it comes to innovation, technology, and so on and so forth. And in other areas of focus, I have no credentials at all when it comes to, you know, a researcher. I'm not a researcher. I'm useless. Every one of you would be better than me as a researcher, because I'm just not good at it. But I'm very, very good at holding, at zeroing focus in on pure truth through resonance, and then having a million different kind of you know, threads in my mind, and being able to triangulate and then conduct an orchestra of truth or of inquiry. So that's my strength, and that's what I'm doing. Sorry to be so long in answering the question, but it is a complex question. But that's essentially what I'm focused on, is trying to pool and distill 23 years of my activism work since I founded Humanitad in 1999, and compiling that all in, and still giving a message of real hope at the end of the presentation. So that's my focus right now.